Welcome to a new episode of the Pitch Dark Black Rebel Radio podcast, like our black souls
Yes.
of podcasting. I don't know. That was probably a really bad pun going into today's featured film that we're doing. And I don't know. Maybe I feel like my soul is darkened a bit this week. You know, you're getting the kids ready for school. You're dealing with people. You're going in fucking stores to get school supplies and shoes and socks or whatever, man. And that's like, Matt, you're not quite as old as me, but I'm telling you, man, you might be at that point already. But when you get over 40, man, people start fucking annoying you more and more. Like, you just like, fuck this. You'll stand there in the middle of a Target or a Walmart or wherever you're at. And you'll just stare at people and like, really? And you know what pisses me off is like cell phones, man. We all use them. But do you need to stare at it when walking to the fucking store? And the apps they're putting people are using, man, to shop for things is, man, it's like, I don't even use the app for the company I work for. That's how annoying I find them. I like food apps. Those are cool because they save you money at restaurants. But
yeah,
like, do you really need to price check everything you're buying in Walmart on your app? It's like, come on, stop. And then half the time they're not even right anyway. The prices are wrong.
Yeah, the only app that I use, like, so Dollar General will run these deals where if you spend $25, you get $5 off, and then there's people that come up with these couponing things buy, and so you have to scan and then add to your account, and you just type in your phone number, kind of like you do your any rewards card at a grocery store.
That's different, man. We're using like when I go in Ollie's, I show my app they scan the Ollie's app and get points.
Yeah. But it's like, while you're shopping, you do have to scan the item. But Dollar General's not as like, it's not as busy as a Walmart.
Target,
yeah. So it's not as bad. And it's like, you're not price checking. You're just, making sure that the coupon's going to hit, and you click the coupon.
It's the same thing like going to the movies, man. I used to enjoy going like opening night. I always remember we went and saw Spider-Man 3 or The Dark Knight back in the day. We were all standing in line talking. But now I'm like, I love being able to buy my tickets online. I love being able to go at 10 a.m. when it's not crowded. I'd rather go now when it's not crowded. It's like, it was so nice watching Furiosa with like me and my son and like two other people in the theater. It's like, I'm the complete opposite now. Maybe I'm truly turning into an old geezer, man. I don't know. And, just like, stay away from me, people. And that's not all people. I do like my friends and most of my family, and there's people at work, they're not too annoying, even though some of those I do look at and how the fuck do you make it this far in life? So that's just how I'm feeling on a Saturday night as we get ready to discuss movies and other things. It's just like, I'm feeling a bit of a dark soul today. And I think it's just I find the hustle and bustle of back to school, having 3 kids, and, almost a little more stressful than even Christmas shopping, honestly. It's just like, oh, fuck all these people, man. It's like, but I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for the parent grind, but the kids definitely need to go back to school because, it's time.
Yeah,
they're wound up and they need to go back to school.
Yeah,
I'm sure yours a little wound up too.
Yeah, we were really lucky because my youngest is 4, and he's of course of age that is eligible for pre-K. But they tried to say that I made $100 per check too much for a 6-person household, and I was like, no, I don't feel that way. It don't feel that way.
No shit.
And
I thought the school district we're in was going to everyone open pre-K without having to qualify anymore. Maybe it's not this year.
That's what I thought. But luckily we knew a teacher. We've been talking to them as my firstborn's like 2nd or 3rd grade teacher, and when we told her what happened, she went and found that lady and was like, hey, come on, let him in. And she's like, you owe me. You owe me lunch or something. And then she's like, yes, you got an email back. Your son is approved. We'll see him Monday. And I was like, yes, all 4 of them
It's
in
not
school.
always
Finally.
sometimes it's who you know, man.
Oh yeah, for real.
And yes, I'm sure your sweet wife is glad to finally, after what pretty much your oldest is 14, 15 almost,
He'll be 14. Yeah.
basically kids all the time in the house all day. I'm sure she'll be happy to get a break, and now make sure they don't let her get too lazy, man. You have to slap her in her butt and tell her, we still got things to do now. And, yeah, Jackie would probably murder me as much as she would murder you if she ever really listened to some of these episodes.
Oh, I tried to get her
I could just see her
get a part-time job to like keep her busy.
Yeah.
And she's like, whoa. She's like, let me,
Let's-
let me enjoy this, I was like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one day she's gonna listen to some of these episodes, and I'm gonna see her, and I'm just gonna get that look, and she's gonna be like, "Yeah, you're dead, Mark." I can see it coming. So I'm always picking on her, and she doesn't even know it.
Every once in a while, what was I mentioned somebody last episode, and she heard me, and she's like, "Huh? What was that?" And I had to explain, and she was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Yeah, don't listen, don't cherry pick these episodes and listen."
Yes, it's all in good fun. I think our co-host Long takes this too serious sometimes when we're picking on him.
I think
but
so.
I also believe that Long really would fuck us up if he could.
I think so.
You're dead, bitches. I mean, he's Asian, so he's got that crazy side to him,
Yeah, he would. He'd send somebody. He knows somebody.
Triads and shit.
Yeah. Ali Young.
But yeah, man. So did we discuss last week any of the D23 stuff? We did not. It was going on. It was going on as we recorded. Yeah, because we didn't discuss the Skeleton Crew trailer, did we?
No,
we talked about it having a release date finally. Man, so D23, which is Disney's investors conference, I guess that's what it is, took place last weekend, and we got some new announcements. We got an announcement of The Incredibles 3 with Brad Bird returning, which man, that's a series that, like, I like The Incredibles, but I don't love it. I feel like
it's fun.
I don't know if it's fun, but I feel like, because I've grown up reading hundreds of comic books from Fantastic Four to the X-Men to Spider-Man, that I feel like The Incredibles is not that original, to be fair. It's homageous to, and that's why I always felt like
Registration Act.
Yeah, I've always felt it's held to maybe a higher regard than it should be. It's fun. They're enjoyable, but like, I don't even know if I'd have either one in my top 10 Pixar films. And that's saying a lot, because I know a lot of people hold The Incredibles to high regards.
Yeah.
But that said, I'm all for another one. I think Brad Bird's a great director. I'd be, all for seeing what he can do. I mean, he's made one of my favorite animated films of all time with Iron Giant. So, I am anxious to see what Brad Bird brings. Maybe he'll bring something new to the table with The Incredibles 3. Now, another franchise, we really don't need another one. Like Incredibles 3, okay, there's room for that. But do we really need Toy Story 5? 4 was pushing it, because 3 ended so perfectly. 4's pushing it, but 4 was still really good. And now we're getting another one. It's like, what else are you going to do with these characters? Don't get me wrong. We covered Toy Story last year. It's a remarkable film. These are remarkable animated characters that are a part of our pop culture as much as Spider-Man and superheroes are. But we're stretching it thin at this point. But also, there's a lot of buts in here. You got to trust Pixar at this point, right?
Yeah.
You got to trust Tom
Hanks. They have a great track record.
And Tim Allen and Tom Hanks, and you got to trust them that they're going to put together a good film, right?
Yeah. And they're going to go against devices now, I guess. It's going to be like phones and iPads. I guess
Is that what they said?
Be looking at the hub.
Well, yeah, but they're not with Andy anymore, right?
What's going on the bus,
the
Andy? Whoa. What's that woman doing getting into the band? Oh.
Oh my God, it's so wrong. You just see Eddie's hand do it. Never mind. I'm just going places I should not go with those innocent characters. Damn you, Matt. Damn
Andy's
you.
mom's got a toy too.
But on another note, at D23, we got a new Moana 2 trailer, which looks nice.
It does look nice.
We got confirmation from. I don't understand why we're getting Moana 2 and we're getting a live action Moana, but The Rock pretty much confirmed that filming starts shooting early next year, I believe. I wonder how that's going to work because I know he has commitments to WWE next year. Maybe it starts shooting in between or after WrestleMania next year.
So
that'll be interesting. But we got the Skeleton Crew trailer, the next Star Wars show, which comes out in December. And I really like this trailer. It was like the Goonies meets Star Wars, 1980s Amblin Entertainment, kids, Star Wars, adventure, excitement, all the things you expect from Star Wars, and a nice reveal of Jude Law as a Jedi at the end of the trailer, or an apparent Jedi. And I don't know, man. The trailer gave me, we've talked about Star Wars being special again, and this trailer kind of gave me that sense of wonder that Star Wars is supposed to have.
It definitely.
I know that's
that way.
saying a lot from a minute 30, but that's the feeling I got.
Yeah, it looks like kind of like Goonies-ish, but with Star Wars a little bit, and a little bit, but Goonies a bit with Star Wars.
What is fucking Star Wars?
Yeah, but it looks fun. It looks a little different, but in a good way. And I think it'll be geared towards younger kids, probably.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, that's what Star Wars it's for, essentially.
Yeah,
it's for
the great
George Lucas made it for children,
mm-hmm.
and but it looks fun. We also, I was looking at some D23 news. I think this is cool because it's the one Marvel Disney Plus TV series I am looking forward to is Daredevil Born Again, and they confirmed that it's going to. They didn't really quite confirm it's going to be rated R, but it's going to be edgy, and and they are not ignoring the Netflix series, which I think is fucking phenomenally fantastic.
Yeah,
that they are saying it's not a direct sequel, but they're not ignoring it, which I think is so smart because the Netflix series was so good. Let's not ignore what came before. I still want my goddamn Bullseye versus Daredevil. I'd love to see it on the big screen, but if I have to settle for an MCU television series, it's what I'm going to get. Looking forward to that. And what's funny is Charlie Cox was talking about how he really thought the show was dead, because he said he had talked to Kevin Feige very shortly after, Netflix canceled it. And he said, okay, y'all, I'm down for more if y'all get the rights or bring me over there. And then it never happened. And he waited like 2 years and finally it occurred. So we're going to get that. So I think that's pretty cool. Switching gears just a little bit. Or anybody hasn't seen Furiosa is on HBO Max now. We have a release date for The Penguin on HBO Max also. It's going to be out in September. I just had the news right in front of me. God dang it. And I lost it. I'm scrolling my phone as I talk to people on a podcast. I thought this was interesting. Bruce Timm said that he was not interested in. He was asked by Warner Brothers and studios to do essentially a sequel to Batman the Animated Series or do more episodes. And he turned it down because he wasn't interested in revisiting that world again. So why did you make a new show for Amazon that's pretty much that world but slightly different? Yeah, it's like. It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I haven't watched. I did finish the Harley Quinn episode. I'm digging Gotham or Cape Crusader, but it's definitely a spiritual successor sequel to Batman the Animated Series in so many fucking ways. Like if it was completely different, like the Batman show was, that animated series or something like that. Okay, but it's not. It's just oh, I don't want to revisit. I'm going to make a show that's really almost just like it. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
Makes
But I
total
shouldn't
sense.
gripe because I'm happy. I'm happy. I am happy to have any kind of Batman on television or a big screen or anywhere because it feels like we're waiting forever for Matt Reeves' sequel. So I'll take it how I can get it. I just found it was interesting because it also gets my creative juices boiling of how fucking cool it would have been to bring back Batman the Animated Series. Of course, it wouldn't be the same now with that Kevin Conroy, but it still would have been a really cool thing to have done if they had done that way. So, but we'll take what we can get when it comes to Batman animation, and that's really all the news, man. I want to go over, the D23 stuff. So some good stuff. Looking forward to what Disney. Disney has taken a hit last couple of years. They've really had struggled with COVID and putting out Pixar releases on Disney Plus so quickly. Some setbacks with some of the Star Wars stuff not being well received and the MCU stuff. But I think we forget who's in charge over there again, right? With Bob Iger, and Bob Iger's only been back about a year now. So give the man time. He's a fucking creative genius. He'll get it going again. He will. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing at Disney. So have no fear. They will be back and on top of the world as they usually are. So, and then we did get the title Avatar Fire and Ash. Did I not fucking say it? Did I not say it? Cameron might have hinted too. It's going to be fire people in this one. And I like the Avatar movies, but are we going to spend an hour of this movie explaining the fire world like we did the water world and the earth world in the first two? My guess is, knowing James Cameron, yes.
Yeah.
So be prepared, folks, for a remarkable 3-hour film where we spend about an hour explaining the fire world. But, the movies are so beautiful and so well shot that, you know what? We'll sit there and we'll watch James Cameron do it because he's a fucking master. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, he is. And he's made I still like the first Avatar better, but he found a way to follow up.
I don't know,
Avatar
dude.
makes something good.
Rewatching The Way of Water, that last act, the last 45 minutes is freaking
the last 45
great,
minutes.
Man.
Yeah.
It is
pretty darn good.
I don't think people realize how remarkable and how good of filmmaking that is. Being all in the water and the fights. It is really well done.
It's tense.
And that last act almost makes it a slightly better film for me than the first one. I don't know why. But they're both good. And I'm looking forward to the third one and the fourth one and the fifth one, however many he's going to make. Apparently he has plans for 6, but who knows? They might take, Cameron, that might be 15 years from now.
Sam Worthington
needs I guess he filmed 3 and 4 back to back this time. So, and then, so we'll see. And then, I finally, before we get into if we watched anything this week, I finally watched next week, 2 weeks, the Terminator Zero anime. I finally sat down and watched the full trailer. That shit looks badass.
It does.
It looks cool. No idea if it's even going to tie in with the films. I kind of hope they kind of hinted that it's kind of its own story, and I hope it is. But and I hope it's ultra violent, and I hope it's just freaking cool. It looks really cool. I think it'd be cool just to tell its own story. We don't need to tie in with John Connor and all that stuff. Let's just do our own thing.
Add it into the universe and just make it stand alone.
Yeah, it looks really cool, man. I'm looking forward to that. It's August 29th, I believe. So it's a couple weeks away till we get that. But as far as watching things this week, man, I've slacked off again, man. You just got to fire me from this podcast, man. Last few weeks I have not watched much, man. But right now, dude, we're in such a droll, man. I go through Netflix and Prime, and I'm like, there's I know I want to watch the boys.
Right?
I need to watch The Boys, but I haven't seen anything that just stands out to me, man. So I just end up turning my PlayStation on and playing college football. That's what I've been doing the last few weeks. And it's just like there's just nothing that super interests me on right now. I feel like there was something I kind of watched a little bit of the other day on Netflix, some anime or something, but nothing standing out right now. But I'll think about that for a minute, and if there's anything you've checked out in the last week or so.
Yeah. We went back to the movies to go to rewatch Inside Out 2. I told my 2 youngest that I would take them out on their own little thing, and they wanted to go to the movies. And at first they wanted to see that the movie with Zachary Levi, and the Purple Crayon.
Which
Purple Crayon film.
a remarkable children's book that I used to read to Michael a lot when he was little. But
Yeah,
I can tell you that movie looks nothing like the book.
yeah, it didn't look like it was going to be that good. But they ended up last minute. Oh, let's watch Inside Out 2 again. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I had 2 free tickets, and just went ahead and took them there. They had a fun little time. Yeah, Inside Out 2 is still good. Hopefully it hits Disney in another month or so.
Yeah,
but
I think I saw a release date, but
yeah.
yeah, I think it's coming pretty soon.
It's got to be. I think it's. I could have sworn I saw something like into August or early September.
Yeah, I would have sworn I saw like August 30th, or maybe it's the first week of September. It sounds right, like September 4th or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I just kind of, since we're doing Pitch Black, it's been a while since I've seen Chronicles of Riddick, and so I watched the second film, which I didn't realize how much it kind of drags and just makes, Riddick to be like too much. Like I think they try to do too much with Riddick in the second film, and then the third film they try and hone him back.
I like the third film.
Yeah, I like the third film. It's much better. But yeah, I watched that, and you had mentioned to me that you watched Conan the Barbarian the other week, and so I gave it another
Destroyer.
watch. Yeah.
You
watched
the
Destroyer. I watched Barbarian because it had been a while since I'd seen Barbarian too. And I always think some of those scenes are funny, like whenever he runs into the sorceress, and she's like, I'll give you the information, but you have to give me something. And I was like, this is a role reversal. Usually the guy is like, take off your clothes, and then now the girl's like, give me the wiener. And while he's doing that for information, she's like telling him the information while he's like screwing her, which is pretty funny. And then
they're really, and then it's really slow and dragged out. Those scenes, you're like, okay, where it gets to the point where it's almost awkward watching it. You're like, oh my god, how long is he gonna beg her to get information?
And then she starts turning into like a demon, and he's like, what the fuck? And like just throws her into the fire. He's like, well, you're going to the fire.
It's such a weird movie. Like Destroyer might not be as good, but it's not as weird. It's pretty much kind of campy. Where Barbarian's just weird. It's like oh.
It is like James Earl Jones. He's like, oh yes, I used to think steel was the best. Now watch this. He's like, hey bitch, jump off the cliff, and she just jumps off the cliff, and he's like, yeah, that's power right there. Oh yeah,
it's
like that's cooler than your sword.
We've never covered that film, but like, I wonder how James Earl Jones even ended up in that film. It's just such a weird like. He had to have owed the studio a film. It had to be a contract.
Had to have.
Because it's just a strange part for him.
And the haircut, haircut's strange too. It's like, what's he doing with that hair? Arnold, at least, he's playing the part of the barbarian. Yeah, it looks like a barbarian.
Because especially in the 80s, these actors had contracts like Eastwood, the fourth Deadpool film or Dirty Harry film, and the one of the other movies he did with the Pink Cadillac. Those were all films that he was forced to do because Eastwood owed Warner Brothers, films and stuff. And no wonder James Earl Jones, like, how did James Earl Jones end up in Conan the Barbarian?
Very weird. And then, I like the voiceover because it's the same guy who did Samurai Jack. He did a coup for Samurai Jack. It's a very famous voice actor, and I don't know the name. I just know the voice. But yeah, I watched it, and still entertaining today. But yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's just weird. There's a lot of like go watch. It's on Prime. Try watching The Sword and the Sorcerer. It's another one of those veins of, and it's
I almost
just so weird. It's cool, but fucking weird. If you can get past the weirdness, it's like it's kind of got some cool shit in it, That era, that was a big thing in the 80s, man. They were trying to capture, that I don't know what was the most successful, but we did the Beastmaster, which was in that same vein. There's a movie called Dragon Slayer. It's actually a really good, pretty good movie. It's just a slow burn movie about a dragon, but it's good. Excalibur, which is a movie that's been on my radar for us to cover for a long time on the show.
Merlin.
And maybe we'll have to do Excalibur at some point. I even remember buying Excalibur on my Voodoo account so we could do it on the show. Just never fit it in anywhere. So there's the 80s were full of those sword and sandal epics of different kinds, and Conan films are probably two of the more famous from that era. And of course, and the Beastmaster has its following. I wonder what made. I'd like to research that, like what caused that phenomenon in the 80s to make those kind of films. Because they obviously weren't capturing the Star Wars craze and the Indiana Jones craze, but there had to have been something pretty successful to say, hey, let's make a bunch of fucking sword and sorcerer movies with half naked dudes and women. So yeah.
Yes, lots of naked women.
So who knows?
But
we can blame it all on what's that one company that made Superman 4?
Canon Films.
Yeah, we'll just blame it all on Canon Films. It's their fault.
That works. Yeah. Freaking
That's probably a joke that people listening to the podcast are going, I don't get it. But if you're a film fan, you'll get the joke. So.
Oh yeah. But that's about it. I did watch another episode of Jujutsu Kaisen to try and keep up with my son. My son has gotten into anime, and he's watching some of the newer ones. So it's been a while since I've taken on a new anime, I enjoy it. It's fun, but I think it's there's only like 40 episodes out, so it's not very long at all.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I've checked out.
Cool. Yeah, and so I slacked. I'll try to do better this week. I'll see what I can do. I don't know. It's Saturday night. We only have till Thursday, and we're recording again. So we'll see what I can do. But well, let's get into today's featured film then, man. This is a movie that came out in 2000, and at this point in his career, Vin Diesel he had a small role in Saving Private Ryan, of course, as Carpazzo, and then he had done The Boiler Room, which was a mixed bag film with a bunch of young actors, and so this little sci-fi movie comes out where he's not even really billed in the trailers or anything. The movie is just billed as a sci-fi film, and it kind of gets word of mouth through critics, giving it decent reviews and everything, and found a little success at the box office. And it essentially made Vin Diesel into a star, as he was the highlight of the film. And a year later, he's doing The Fast and the Furious, and his career took off after that. And going back, and we'll get into it more, but going back and rewatching Pitch Black, deservedly so, because at this point in his career, I thought he was pretty good in what he did in this film. He went on to kind of become a copy of himself over the years, but at this point in his career, hey, give him credit where credit's due. Essentially, this movie is a very simple sci-fi story on the surface about we get a exciting opening where there's a ship crashing onto a planet. We see a captain or a lady trying to do some things. We're not sure what's going on. They're confusing the audience, and it crash lands on this planet. We find out that we're headed somewhere. I can't remember where exactly off the top of my head, but they crash land and they have this prisoner on board, and Cole Hauser plays a guy who's apparently transporting this prisoner, but he's not who he says he is, as we find out later. And so essentially it becomes a survival to get to a camp where there's ships on this planet. And they think Riddick is going to kill them all, but it turns out Riddick might be their best chance for survival, as Riddick is, of course, played by Vin Diesel, as there's these creatures that come out at night and are quite violent and basically death creatures that are going to kill everybody. So it's essentially a story of survivor. In a lot of ways, it's real similar to movies we've seen before. I mean, you can almost argue that Screamers was like this, as they were trying to get to the signal and escape that planet and Screamers.
Yeah.
And so it's a story. But what makes this story work, I think, better is one, it's aliens. Yeah. So it's a story we've seen before, but what makes Pitch Black work is, first, it's done on a very low budget. And director David Hoy, I think that's how you say it, does a lot with a little money. I mean, the movie it has like this otherworldly sci-fi look to it, but it's cool. It's got some really cool scenes. It's well shot. It's not badly acted. All the actors do their part very well. And it's just, it's engaging. It's well paced, so it keeps you interested. I don't find there was a dull moment in this film. I felt it moves pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I think that's what makes Pitch Black work on the surface. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper into it. What do you think? Your initial reactions when you first saw Pitch Black and rewatching it now?
Yeah, the only knock on this film is what it was limited to in technology. The CGI, of course, is a little dated. When it's dark, it's not so bad, but it uses that dark element to hide a lot of its CGI flaws, like most movies do. But yeah, they land on this planet, find out there's creatures that hide underneath the planet because they can't chill. They can't cut it in the sun. But lo and behold, they face a eclipse that they don't know how long it's going to last until. Just a few days after landing on this planet and finding a viable ship, as they're pulling cores to that ship, the eclipse happened, and it's a rush to try and get to this transport to get them off planet and to safety. Vin Diesel does a good job of playing a cold-blooded killer with a heart. And I think he does a good job of playing the tough guy that shows you he's got a little bit of a soft spot, and it's not all bad as he is made out to be. Really, Cole Hauser seems like the scumbag.
Well, and that's the thing. And let me back people up just a little bit. People that are familiar with Cole Hauser now in Yellowstone. This is not that Cole Hauser, people. This Cole Hauser's not a very good actor. Let's just be honest.
No.
In the year 2000,
that's like Too Fast, Too Furious. Yeah, it took him a while.
He learned in Yellowstone. He's great. 24 years ago in this, he's probably, I would almost argue, he's probably the weakest actor in the movie, next to the kid. Yeah. You know, the kid's not very good, and that's why the kid never really acted again after this movie, because she's just not that good. But yeah, back to Cole Hauser.
Yeah, Cole Hauser plays this bounty hunter, and but they all think he's an actual cop, working for some galactic law enforcement, taking in a prisoner, but really, it's his payday,
so he can buy more drugs because he's a drug addict.
Yeah,
which comes out of nowhere in the third act of the film. Like, oh, he's a drug addict. Why? That part's a little weird. It's like
doing morphine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and the woman who had to take over as captain, she's ticked off because the captain needed drugs to keep him stable, and he lied and said there were none so that he could keep it for himself. So they do a good job of setting some of that stuff up, even randomly, to make him even look more like a scumbag. Eventually, Vin Diesel just uses him as bait because, just like Jaws, these creatures can smell blood, and once there's blood in the water, they just go to it. He uses them as bait as they're trying to make their escape. It surprised, the ending surprised me a little bit because I thought everyone was just going to get off safe. As far as the four that were left at the time, did not realize they were going to kill the woman. I thought the woman was like, and it'd been a while since I've seen this film, so I was completely expecting her to be the Ripley of this group, and she definitely acts that way. But as best she can, no one can be Ripley, but Ripley. She's killed off right before the beginning, and is used as
before the end, you mean?
Right before the end, and is used as a plot device in some aspects in the second film. Riddick, Pitch Black, did a good job with a small budget. Vin Diesel did the dislocating arm trick. I guess he's double jointed or something. He can move his arms behind himself and up and over to make it look like he dislocated his shoulder. So he did some of his stunts. And this film made double its budget. I think worldwide it was about 53 mil on a $23 million budget. And some of these people, obviously Keith David, you see him in a lot of stuff. He's been in Coraline. Yeah. He's been in They Live. Requiem for a Dream. Of course, he's the one that gets Jennifer Connelly. Yeah.
Dude, They Live, man. That's a movie we need to cover.
Oh yeah,
They Live might have to find its way into Halloween Horrors this year.
Dude, good line in that film. I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Oh man. But yeah, Keith David, he comes back for the second one too. Riddick is a cool character. Definitely inspired by the director's earlier work of writing for The Fugitive. This character is on a transport as well, and because the transport crashes, he escapes. I feel like that's definitely a nod to his work writing The Fugitive, and kind of putting Vin Diesel as a Harrison Ford type of character in that film, as far as how he escapes. Obviously, he's definitely no innocent man. He definitely has killed people before. And he is a very effective killer because his eyes, reason he's special is because he had his eyes worked on to where he could see in the dark. So he has to wear glasses all the time, and almost looks like Woody Harrelson's character from Natural Born Killers with those glasses. He just kind of looks like, has that similar look. But he wears them during the day because the light he can't see in the light very well. But in the dark, he's, no one can sneak up on him. He does a good job of caring for the little girl who is trying to look like she was a boy doing a Mulan kind of thing, where she thought it would be easier, I guess, to get on board or to pass as a boy for whatever reason. I forget why she actually did that, but I guess they made that so that Riddick could showcase his extra sense of smell, because he's like, they can smell the blood, and they're like, no one's bleeding, and then he's like, she is, and they're like, what?
Weird. It's like, what? Okay.
And she done did the G.I. Jane kind of thing and shaved her head, which I think this writer also wrote G.I. Jane, or wrote for G.I. Jane. So I feel like there's nods to this guy's film, because I want to say the studio brought him on because there were other people that they had tried to get to write and direct for this film, and the studio felt like they were taking it in a direction that they didn't want to go. So they brought him on, and they said that if they liked his writing, that he could direct the film. And so, he made some changes in the writing, and they liked it, so he got to direct it. And so, of course, this thing would naturally have nods to a couple of his films. And I don't mind them. I don't mind the nods to film. Yeah.
And it created such a weird franchise. There ended up being this DVD tie-in sort of animated short film called Dark Fury, which was like a prequel that took place right before this film. And then they ended up giving him a bunch of money to the same director to make the Chronicles of Riddick, and they announced it was going to be a trilogy of films, and where they make Riddick like this almost godlike character or whatever, and it has Carl Urban in it, and it's just like you said, it's kind of a slow burn, but also a really just bizarre film, and it did not resonate with audiences as much as Pitch Black did, and ended up not being real successful. But Vin Diesel used his own star power to continue to push to have a third film made, and they end up making the film called Riddick, which takes a step back, lower budget again, like Pitch Black, and they were able to get a couple of like Katie Sackhoff and Dave Bautista to get them in the film, and they go back to a lower budget style film, and it kind of works better than Chronicles of Riddick did, and then it has Katie Sackhoff titties in it, which works too.
Yeah.
So you can't complain there. But the only problem with Riddick is it kind of ignores, if I remember correctly, it's been a bit since I've watched Riddick, it kind of ignores Chronicles of Riddick. Like all of a sudden that movie doesn't exist.
No, it acknowledges them because
It does
Carl
a little
Urban
bit.
is he all of a sudden he's like
At the very beginning, that's right.
at the very beginning, and he's like, I want to go back home. I want to go to Furia. And
That's
so
right.
Carl Urban wants to take over Riddick's role. So he's like, all right, we'll take you there. And they take him to the wrong planet on purpose, and they try and leave him for dead. Yeah.
I have it on my Vudu. It's just been a bit since I've watched it. That's right. You're right. And now every year Vin Diesel does interviews, and this franchise kind of pops up like, oh yeah, I want to do another Riddick. And at this point though, I don't think there's anyone cares anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think it's just let it go to be the franchise that never happened. It's amazing we got 3 films as we did. This one's very good. The third one's decent, and the second one I'd have to rewatch it. I remember not hating the second one, but I remember like not loving it either.
There's some moments in there that are entertaining, but the story's just weird.
Yeah, but Pitch Black is a cool project that shows you can. I mean, 23 million. That's remarkable to film looks this well with a budget. I mean, there's some really cool shots in here. I like how they use the lens cameras and things like that to make the lighting look different, make it look otherworldly. I think they did what they could with their budget, it works very well for the things they chose to do with it, and it holds up still well 24 years later. So it's still a exciting little sci-fi action film to watch, and I kind of dig it, man. It's a cool movie, not perfect by any means, but it's going to entertain you for an hour and 45 minutes easily.
With what they had to work with, they definitely did a good job of, making the tension work, making the story entertaining, and definitely did a good job with pacing. That's for sure. I feel like the franchise, they just tried to do too much on the second film. They're like, oh yeah, you're part of Vin Diesel's part of this legacy and this line and lineage of warriors. And there's this guy, he's trying to convert everybody to this religion, and he can snatch your soul out of your body. And Judi Dench is an elemental person that can kind of become transparent and stuff. And it's weird. It's just really
and
weird.
I remember now the opening of Riddick, how they just sort of like, oh, the Chronicles of Riddick was going to be a trilogy, but the beginning of Riddick were like, oh, never mind, I want to go home. There's no trilogy here.
Yeah.
They make this smaller budget film. But I remember that now. It's kind of funny. But the animated thing was pretty cool. I think you can probably watch it on YouTube for free. The little Dark Fury. Yeah, that was kind of cool. So, but Pitch Black was a movie that came out of nowhere and probably should not have done as well as it did, but it did. It found an audience, and it's a cool sci-fi film. As we near the end of our summer of blockbusters, as we get back to just not that we don't cover blockbusters a lot, but that's just something we call our summer. But before we do get out of here today, though, we're going to talk about our. We started this last year doing an annual back to school movie. We did 3 last year. We turned in a little trilogy. This year, we're just going to do 1, as a lot of kids across the nation start school this coming week, and some started last week. And I think there's even some school districts across the nation that don't start till the last week of August. So, but here in our state, though, a lot are going back this week. So we're going to do a fun kid movie next week to go back. And this is a favorite of yours, Matt. I remember watching this too when I was younger and enjoying it. And I've watched the original Turtles movie a few times since. I have to be honest with you. This one I've only seen 2 or 3 times over the years. So I'm curious how it's going to hold up. But that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Look who's back.
Yeehaw! Awesome!
Michelangelo.
You dudes want to play too? Around the world!
Donatello.
Yeah!
Leonardo.
Hey!
Raphael.
Yeah! All the good ones, Andy, no!
Hey, Mike, you think you could crunch any louder? I can can still hear out of this one.
Any luck finding a new place to live yet?
And I thought all the really good dungeons were in Europe.
Where are you guys?
I just like to say, hello.
Would you give me that one? Come on, give me back.
Shredder.
Whoa! The past returns, my son.
That's the canister that had the ooze.
That transformed us all.
Well, you're the last one, aren't you?
He's got the canister. Get it! Wow!
Get him!
Hey, Mike, surge up, dude.
Wipe out!
Whoa!
This time, it's one for all.
You take the ugly one. No, you take the ugly one.
Which one's the other one?
And all for
Pizza?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. The Secret of the Ooze.
Cowabunga!
Go, Ninja, go!
So we're going to go back and discuss the sequel to the mega popular 1990 film. Was it 90? Yeah, it was. I think it was 90 or 91, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
And this film was, if I recall, this film was put into production pretty quickly because the first one was so successful. So they just basically threw the costumes back on and let go make another movie. So it's kind of thrown together in parts, but I remember having some cool shit in it. I remember having a Super Shredder played by Kevin Nash and things like that. So it'll be a fun one to rewatch this weekend as we discuss Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. And I will promise you, I will not let Matt sing Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go, or he will, you might hear kaboom on the back end of the podcast. Yeah. He has no Vanilla Ice, people. Maybe Mexican
I'll have a fun
ice,
fact about that whenever we come to it.
All right, we'll
have to talk about
save that for
Vanilla
next
Ice.
week. To why the most popular rapper in the world at the time ended up in this film. And but that's next week on the podcast. Until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com, as always, for all your Rebel Radio needs. And we thank you as always for listening. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
Remember, as always, just go there and
do it.